So the granny from Dan to Dan, she knows exactly what she's doing. She's way more powerful and capable than any of us may know and or come to realize, even though she plays it off as like she doesn't really know what she's doing or how she's doing it. And I know I did a little bit of a video on this episode a while ago, a couple weeks ago at this point in time. I figured I'd come back, touch on it again because I had a couple of different ideas that I wanted to talk about just a little bit more as I've simmered and sat on this a little bit. So without further ado, it's really nice being able to see how Momo is still like absolutely head over heels for Okarun. And I know that we've talked about this in many different episodes, but the relationship that they have is incredible because after we see the final episode where like she ends up getting passed out and like dying basically, and then Granny comes home and like she sees that the Turbo Granny is over her granddaughter. She's like, okay, well, I need to stop her. I still don't necessarily know exactly when she ended up drawing like this circle around like for Turbo Granny to fall into, and yet she still somehow did that. And she tells how driving the nail on here and the outside creates this barrier, and how if it's on the outside, like you're stuck on the inside, but if it's on the inside, then nothing can touch you on the inside, and we all have our own internal barriers that we can set up within our own selves. So it's kind of like setting up boundaries for people, friends, family members, whatever it may be, so that you don't have to expand your energy in more ways than you have been expanded in beforehand, which is pretty neat. And then she just basically whips the living hell out of this creature over and over and over again. It's just like, don't be calling me an old hag, it's pissing me off. But then the funny part is too, like Momo even calls her an old hag a little bit later. And that's why when like she wakes up after like seeing what happens, like we're the audience are led to believe that like, oh crud, she actually did end up killing like the demon, like she ended up killing the ghost. And it's just like, oh crud. And that's why Okarun's like, she's in such shock right here. She's like, wait, hold on. What happened to Okarun? Like, where's he at? And then that's where she's like, oh no, I don't know what's happening. It's like, have you seen it? Have you seen, anyway, I have something to talk about with you. And it's just like, you went to the spirit hotspot, and she's like, yeah, I did, but not me, it was my friend. It's just like, why? Because we were talking about that, and that's how things ended. And it's just like, she's not even really paying attention, at least the granny's not, because she's like, I don't really care, but she also is. And this is why I say like, the granny's so much stronger and more capable and willing than like she's led to lead on. So it's like, are you listening? Anyway, do you see a guy? He may be in trouble if I'm not around. And she's like, if you're talking about the evil spirit, I killed it. And that's where she like freaks out even more, and it gets to show you like her feelings and connection that she has to him. And it's like, an evil spirit, what kind? Did it have glasses on? And it's like, come on, you don't even believe in ghosts. Because I'm a fake spirit medium. And she never really meant to say she was a fake spirit medium. That was just what she was saying because she wanted to be accepted by those other friends. Talked about that in the last episode. Highly recommend going and watching that. So how long are you going to hold the grudge, you old scummy hag? And that's why I said, like, Momo ends up coming back and calling her an old scummy hag regardless. So something really bad might happen. So just answer me. Stop it. Don't believe. Don't believe in those stories. And it's funny too, because what the people believe and what they don't believe are two completely different things. Going to be touching on that a little bit later, because Granny believes in ghosts, but she doesn't believe in something else. You already may be well aware of, but just want to let you know that. So there are no evil spirits, and I'm a fake is what she ends up saying. And that's where Momo's like, I'm sorry, I was wrong. So please tell me, what did you do with the evil spirit? And that's where it's just like, head over to the main shrine. And it's just like, scummy old hag. And she's like, fine, and chill with it. So it's just like, if something's wrong with Okarun, I'll never forgive you. And that's where she's running. I didn't want to miss my chance. This is her recalling back in her memory, and this is something that maybe you're already aware of that you yourself can do as well too, is like, you can recall certain ideas, thoughts, people's like ideas within your own mind, certain conversations. Maybe you replay conversations in your head all the time and you think about these things, and it's just like, well, why not think about positive things? Why not think about positive ideas and thoughts and places and people and situations, and stop dwelling on the negative? Because as you start to do that, as I have, you'll be able to start to see your life change in more magnificent, miraculous ways. I can guarantee it. So he was just not a cult freak who simply wanted friends, which that's all I feel like any of us do want. And that's why she keeps running. And it's like, at least she's also taking responsibility for what she ended up doing, saying like, oh, it's my fault that he ended up going in the tunnel because I challenged him to be able to go to this place. But it's also like, if she wouldn't have had her spiritual awakening in the first episode, then like she also would have had some terrible things happen to her. So it's like, they both wanted to make a bet with one another. Nothing wrong with that. But like, that's why she's like, I'm sorry, Okarun. She opens it up, and there he is, just eating his little rice thing. And as an FYI for you guys, if you want a t-shirt with Okarun eating the ice right, like the rice, I would highly recommend clicking the link down below in the description, buying your t-shirt or hoodie today. it's really cool. It has Turbo Granny on the front and then him on the back. It's something that I wear to the gym all the time. So, and he's just chilling, like just having his rice, doesn't really have anything. And like you see the little look on her face right here where she's like in shock that he's like still alive and ready. And then all of a sudden, this is where like the emotions come in and it's just like, I thought I had murdered you or something. And he's freaking out, but it's funny because he's just eating his little rice like he didn't even care. And he's like, oh wait, oh yeah, that's right. I thought I murdered you. And it's just like, huh? She closes the doors on him and she's just like, wait, you're still alive and well. It's gonna be all four eyes. And it's just funny how like her reaction changes so fast because she was all worried and concerned, but as soon as she sees him, like she shuts the door right on his face and it's just like, wait, what's up with that? I thought you were still alive. And she's just like trying to figure out like her emotions. She's so irritated because we can feel multiple different things at multiple different times. She ends up becoming small and like getting like just thinking about everything that had been going on. And it's like when did you start? So Granny comes in, it's like, since when have you started being friends with monsters? And that's where she freaks out as well too. Like the small little reaction, like she was just thinking in her head like, oh, okay, maybe I do care about more about this guy than I thought I did. There's a part that I'll touch on here in a second as well, where you get to see, it's more when they go into their training, so it'll be a minute. But it's a line that the Granny says and her little reaction that she does, so I'd say stick around for that. And it's just like, you scared me. And because she wasn't expecting Granny to come up, and it's like the curse won't kick in as long as he's in there, but one step out and he'll become a monster. And it's just like, you seemed pretty desperate. You into brats like that. And she's like, what? No way, not even close. But like her body language says like the complete opposite, where she's like, maybe I kind of am into him. Maybe I do like him. Maybe this is what I'm about, or whatever it may be. And it's like Turbo Granny took his you know what, and it's just like, we already know what it is. I'm still trying to figure that out, and I'm going to talk about that early because as soon as he said that, she's like, how does the dude pee? Like, how does he pee if he doesn't have a you know what? If he doesn't have a weenie, how does that work? And she told me that as long as she had it, his curse won't be lifted, and then I'm responsible for whatever happens to him, so I just want to do what is right. And I see, so you do like him. And she's just like, I didn't say that, but she does like him, even if she doesn't necessarily say it directly. She does, and that's just something that I would like for you to take home. So anyway, I can use psychic powers now. What the hell are you talking about? I went to a space where your UFO showed up. A lot of stuff happened there, and now I can use my power. And this is where I was saying, like, she doesn't believe in ghosts, but like she does believe in ghosts, but she doesn't believe in UFOs. And it's like, well, hold on, how does that work? So it's like, maybe you also believe in ghosts, but you don't believe in aliens, or maybe you believe in aliens, but you don't believe in ghosts, or maybe you don't believe in either. But I have a feeling if you're watching this, you probably believe in one of those two, or even both. And if you believe in both, even more power to you. If you only believe in one, also power to you as well too, because we're always being watched, and spirits are all around us, or aliens are giving us signals and trials and ideas all over the place. Like I heard this thing the other day, where apparently like human DNA is like 5 million years old or something like that, or 5 billion years old. And yet like the earth is like, has remnants of like 6 billion years of information or something like that. It's like, where was those billion or million years missing? I don't remember the exact one because a friend of mine told it to me. So I'm like, how would that work? So maybe we are just descendants from creatures from outer space. Think about it. So anyways, it's true that I can use psychic powers now. And if I'm not holding back Okarun's curse, it will go wild. And it's just like, I'm sure psychic powers exist. And it's just like, I don't understand the criteria for her beliefs. So she believes in like psychic powers, but she doesn't believe in like aliens. So it's like, she's more focused on like the one area that she succeeded in a lot compared to being focused on like this other stuff that she doesn't necessarily believe in, which is perfectly okay. This is also a genius thing that I believe all Americans need to have. It's like an thing to hold your cigarettes, and you don't just toss them on the ground, and you actually like take care of your garbage, which I think is actually pretty smart. And then she goes into the whole Turbo Granny thing about how like she's spirit bound and everything like that, and how she didn't have the power or the strength to be able to defeat Granny, and yet she did. But the whole reason why she's saying this whole scene right here is because she doesn't want Turbo Granny to find out. And then she's also testing her granddaughter's resolve by, it's like, I don't want to lose my dear granddaughter. And that's just a very true part. And it's like, you're not directly involved with it either, so forget about him. And she looks over and she's like, maybe. But it's just like, you should return to everyday life. Like, her granny just wants her to be happy, but also at the same time, like, she wants her to actually be strong and become independent, but she has what the Ken-san I love would say at a time like this. And that's where she's just like, when I can't decide, that's what I think. And this is something I'd like to relate to as well, is if there's ever a person or a thing that you are curious about, or like you're trying to figure out, like, ask what your person that you look up to would do, and then go do that said thing. It'll help you out tremendously. So I've never had any regrets by choosing this. And if this was Ken-san, I'm 100% positive he'd go in and help. So that's where it's just like, So that's what I'm going to do. And that's where Granny comes in and it's just like, Kin-san, you say? So you totally are in love with the kid. No, that's not what I meant. It's just like, she totally is. I wasn't talking about him, but she was. Like, she's always talking about him. And then it's just like, she's confessing your love to you. How do you feel? And it's just like, I told you that's not what I meant. I'm talking about the actor. Looks like I got no choice if you're going to go that far. So it's like, go play tag with Turbo Granny. But I just love how she says this whole scene of like, Granny's trying to tell her that she's confessing her love to her, which she is. And then they end up going and having the confidence. But she tells this whole story about the things that are going on and how she has to like be able to use these barriers, which is a genius idea. So it's like, can't you make some of these barriers to deal with it? And then she's like, I can't do that because all this land is protected by our own God. But the reason why she says she can't, as we figure out in the next episode, is primarily because she doesn't want Turbo Granny knowing, because Turbo Granny can listen to the conversation at any point at any time, because she's having, obviously, the control over Okarun in the first place. So that's why she ended up telling this whole backstory of what she had going on in the way that she can actually help, so that Turbo Granny wasn't set off and wasn't aware of the plan that they would be having. So that's where I like this whole thing. So it's just like, so, but if I do something like that and that happens again, I'll do my best so that I can save you. And it's just like, so please don't be disappointed with me. Please don't stop being my friend. He just doesn't want to lose his friend. So I wouldn't be disappointed if you're overthinking, which we always do. And that happens actually in the next episode, is foreshadowing. I did an episode on that a little while ago, which I highly recommend you checking that out. I believe it's called If It's Meant to Be, It'll Be. And that's where it's just like, I won't be disappointed in you and you're overthinking it, even though like the both of them do the exact same thing in the next episode, like I was talking about, or 2 episodes after this one. So like I said, go check that out. So it's just like, then why did you slam the door on me earlier? Well, that was, she didn't know how to react to her emotions. They both don't know how to react to their emotions. They don't know how to have a relationship with one another, just as maybe you and I don't know how to have a relationship with one another, or nobody knows how to have a relationship with one another, because we're just all going through this world, and if we didn't learn it from our parents, friends, family members, or whatever it may be, then we have to go learn it on our own and be able to go out into the world and try and figure things out. So try that as much and as best as you possibly can. So you were really disappointed. It's just like I said, I wasn't, but like I am right now, you're such a pain, which he really isn't. I'm sorry. You were pretty awesome when you were fighting. And it's just like, well, thank you for that awesome compliment, but you're kind of dense, Okarun. I'll probably be saving you again next time, which is perfectly okay. Like if she wants to save me, I can save her. Like we can both have these different experiences, and that's where it kind of like lights up a little bit and ends up being like, hey, go to bed. And it's just like, well, I'm also kind of thirsty. So she gets some water. This whole thing, I went into this on a different episode. Also, she looks fantastic in these glasses. If you did not pick up on that, just gotta say that, like girls in glasses, it's a vibe to say something. It's really a vibe, and I know it's a cartoon character, but you know, I'm confident in my sexuality, so I can say those types of things, as many of you also already probably do as well too. Couldn't care less about it. And this is where it's just like, she needs to run to the bathroom, but he can't end up doing that. This is the part that Granny is asking about, like, how the hell are you holding back the curse and with anyways? And it's like, let me see, how do I put it? It's like I can see an aura around Okarun, and then when I crush it, the aura in my hands and the aura shrinks and the curse subsides, I guess. Everyone has some certain aura, which is true. We all do have auras, and they come in all sorts of colors, which is great. I can see them around the trees, the rocks too. Maybe you can see auras in other people. Maybe you can see the colors. Maybe you can see your own colors within yourself. Like I have a little experiment that you can do that'll help you increase your mood and with everything that you do. So what I want you to do is, I'm not going to be changing the screen at all right now, but what I want you to do is I want you to imagine a moment in your life in your mind's eye. And when I say in your mind's eye, like imagine it within your own mind, of you thinking of how, if I say like Apple or your favorite anime, like you see an image, you see something come to mind, do that same thing with the scenario that you have had in the past. Okay, so now that you have that scenario or that thing that you have had in the past, what I want you to do is I want you to enlarge that as if it was a picture frame that you could reach your arms out in front of you, hold it as in your own 2 hands, as if you're looking at like the picture frame within yourself of that said image that you have. Now from that said image that you have, what I want you to do is I want you to expand it to the size of a movie theater screen. As you expand it to the size of a movie theater screen, you'll be able to see so much more of that. The feeling in you most likely will change. Like you have to be the one that identifies that as the feeling gets bigger. So as the screen is large, now shrink that screen down to about the size of a postage stamp. And now that you see it, how does that feeling feel? How do you feel? Do you feel better? Do you feel worse? Like where do you feel on the spectrum? Notice that. And now that you feel that feeling, make it large again to put it over your head. As you wrap it over your head, hold it over your head, and then wrap it around yourself, like wrap yourself up in that blanket of that feeling, and you'll feel a lot different. You'll feel a lot better. You'll feel a lot more excited. You'll feel a lot more amazing. You'll be able to accomplish everything that you want to accomplish in this day, on any day, in any moment, by changing that feeling that you have and wrap it around yourself. As you feel that feeling, look at yourself. Like, do you feel any pain? Do you feel any emotion? Do you feel any sort of like excitement or anything like that? Look at it, touch it. As you feel it, touch it in the spot that you touch it in. Take it out of yourself. Look at it. Do you see a color? You most likely see a color. Whatever color it is that you see that color. Look at that color. If it's a good feeling, awesome. You can start to circle it within your own hands, like by circling your hands over and over and over and over and over again. And as it starts to change the color, or the color gets even brighter and brighter and brighter, then shove it back into the spot that you ended up pointing at. As you do that, that feeling will go back, and you'll start to feel even more excited, more energetic, more of who you are meant to be. And do that each and every single morning, and you'll start to see your life change in more miraculous ways. I did a little shorter version of that just for your own little sake, but I highly recommend doing more and more of that each day to see how you can progress and how you can have different feelings that you didn't have originally beforehand. And that comes back to like the aura and the move, and that was my thought with all these small trees, is how she's able to grab them. So I'm going back to the anime now that I've gave you that little trial example for you to be able to test things out. And I did a shorter version just to help you out. So I thought psychic powers were a lot more omnipotent, which if you don't know what omnipotent is, it means that like basically it encompasses all. It's basically like your God. Like there is no like inherent limits to psychic powers, which is something that I want you to keep in mind. And that's why Momo was so strong in the very first episode, is because she did have the omnipotent God power, psychic powers that she had, but that was only a taste. And now she has to unlock each and every single one by leveling up her skills each and every single day, which is something quite limiting. So that's why Granny's kind of surprised. It's like, well, that sounds quite limiting. And you can also see that like she has her like the blindfold on at this point in time, is because she ends up telling us like it's much more amazing than the moment the power that awoke inside of me. And that's where she talks about like that was when everything I imagined turned into reality, like I was invincible, which says all we ever are. We are truly invincible creatures and beings. We're just spirits living in a meat suit or a body or a vessel that helps us to be able to move forward. So like if you're able to control your spirit, understand your spirit, and unlock every spiritual gift that you ever have by being able to level up and train, you'll be able to be invincible like Momo was as well. And that happens by that experiment or that direction that I just gave you just a brief moment ago. But that went away real quick. I can only grab auras and stuff now. So it's like, Momo, close your eyes. And that's why she has a blindfold on, is because she's telling her close her eyes. It's like, no way, if I do that, my spell will be lifted. And that's where she's like, basically the problem is the reliance on your vision. And this is what I want you to do, is realize that like you have the ability to see things that you don't necessarily have to see. Like the thing that we just did a moment ago, you did that, you had that feeling, you didn't have to go anywhere physically see it, you saw it in your own mind. And this is the thing with like hypnosis and NLP and all these other strategies or tactics to be able to improve your mind and your life, is you don't physically have to do it. Like the mind cannot differentiate between what is real and what is imagined. So if you can imagine it, then it becomes real, as long as you feel it in the exact same way as if it was real. Because what is actual reality? It is just the signals within our own brain. Like when you feel something, it's because there was a neuron or some sort of like touch that happened within your own mind. And then from doing that, you're able to feel that sensation. So like you can do that same feeling and or sensations within your own mind through imagining it, like the thing that I just told you to do just a moment ago. So it's like, try using all of your senses, such as touch. The fact that you can grab the auras means that it's tactical. So close your eyes and try feeling the aura with your skin. And that's what she closes it. So it's like slowly feel around it. She notices it. She grabs it. She feels it. It's so cold. This is the aura that I was talking about earlier. How am I doing? And it's just like, yeah, he transformed. Not good. And that's when she ends up like taking just a little peek, but it's because like sometimes you still have to like look until you do unlock all of your powers, but like she does have all of her powers unlocked. I also like how she has one arm trapped, because it's like she doesn't necessarily need to use her vision or her arms. Like she has her own inherent abilities as well too, just like Momo does. Momos are just a little bit stronger than Granny's, at least that's what it seems like, but Granny's also been around for a lot longer. So it's like Okarun's like, I won't last, you're pushing me too far. So it's like, what are you gonna do? He's gonna pop at any moment. He told me I don't want to watch as I relieve myself, but I need to pee nonetheless. So after she talks about like being able to see it and feel it, this is the first time that we actually get to see like her psychic powers and how they work. And I'm not sure if that was just a way for us to be able to see how she grabs things beforehand, or if it's because we got the little exposition here of how she's able to physically grab things from Granny, which is something I'd recognize and realize, but like this is her within our own mind's eye. And that's all you ever have to do is recognize it within your own mind's eye. And this is the scene that I was talking about. He ends up going to the bathroom, and this is where Granny's like, not bad, Ken Takakura instead of Okarun. And you get to see the two little frames right here, which is pretty sweet. Where as soon as she says that, Momo like gets all goody, all ooey gooey. She falls off, and then they just end up keep running into the bathroom. And that's where you finally get to see like how it's humiliating. She has to go to the tunnel to save Granny, and you get to see that like the love that she holds for her granddaughter, and she wants her to be protected, and she does everything that she possibly can to be able to make that happen. So it's like, please protect. They go into the train. We may have moments in our life where we think that everybody's also staring at us, like in the train scene here, but nobody's ever actually really paying that close of attention to us. Like, sure, they're on their phones, but like they're not really paying attention. Like they may think that it is, but that's not even true. Even in this scene as well too, like it looks like everybody's looking at them, but that's just a perception that our mind holds. So like nobody's ever really paying attention to you. Like they're too worried and concerned about themselves more than they are worried and concerned about you. Just think about it. How often are you concerned about what other people are thinking about you compared to like you thinking about what you're thinking about others? Just something to keep in mind. So with all of that being said, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you are able to awaken your spiritual powers. I hope you're able to enjoy this anime even further. I hope you've checked out some of the other videos that I've done on this series as well. And with that being said, if you've made it to the end of the video and you aren't subscribed already, might as well subscribe, like, share with all of your friends, along with checking out the merch that I have down below. Awesome. With that being said, I'll see you in tomorrow's video, and I'll chat soon.